year is 1460. On the King's Road between Gloucester and London, two forces have assembled. One under the command of Edward, Duke of York, intent on forcing his way through to London. The other, a force pledged to the House of Lancaster, this one under the command of the Earl of Oxford. Battle will take place near the village of Chipping Norton in Oxfordshire. Can the upstart of the Yorkist forces force their way through and defeat the Lancastrian horde in front of them? Or will it be the Lancastrians that will come on top and put paid to this rebellious force in front of them? The terrain for the battle is pretty simple. Everything will class as open grounds, all the fields, etc., with the only hindrance being the trees on the left and right flank of the Yorkist forces, as well as the fruit trees that can be seen in the fields on the left and right flank of the Lancastrian forces. Those trees will be counted as rough terrain for the purpose of movement through it. Other than that, it's a relatively flat and open battle to allow some very good clear line of sights. The Yorkist forces have split themselves into two battles. Their right hand flank is under the command of Warwick himself. Comprises of 2 units of archers, 1 of men-at-arms and 1 of billmen. Over on the left-hand flank, Duke of Exeter has a similar formation, 2 of archers, 1 of men-at-arms and 1 of billmen. The Lancastrian force has decided to go for a slightly different formation. They have 3 battles. On their right, they have the Duke of Somerset with 1 unit of archers and 1 unit of men-at-arms and 1 unit of billmen. In the centre, they have a battle made up completely of archers under the Earl of Devon, and over on their left hand flank they have Oxford's own troops under his stewardess of his trusty captain. It's made up of 1 unit of archers and 2 units of billmen. The end of the Yorkist movement. Both had successful movements, with Exeter moving forward on the left flank, followed by Warwick, who moved over a little bit to the left to close the gap in the middle, and so he can also focus his fire on 3 of the archers rather than Oxford at the moment. So we'll move over to Yorkist shooting. That's around 20 inches for a longbone. Have to fire at the closest unit, so they will be firing at their closest unit, which is the ones right in front of them. So for medium infantry longbow, they have a 3 shots with the ability to reroll 1 with marksman. It's a base of 4 but -1, so up to 5 because of the extreme range being over 12 inches. So I'm looking for 5s from this unit, firing to Somerset's archers. So that's 1 hit at 6 and also a disorder for being on 6s. Somerset needs to save on 5s. Ooh, into the tub. Oh my days! Into the tub. He finally saves his unit, but he is disordered. The second unit of lumbermen, again, they're going to fire to the same unit, so looking for 5s. So again, that's 1 hit. With the reroll. Misses. Don't need to take the other disorder test because they've already done it, but they do need to take a save of 5. They don't. They take 1 casualty, and we will make them French. So they take 1 casualty. They have a stamina of 6. So they do have quite a bit way to go, but they are now disordered. The left-hand archer unit of Warwick will fire at the right-hand unit of Devon. Again, we're looking at the same, so 5s with 1 reroll. That's 3 misses. With the reroll is a hit and a disorder. With Devon, saving the attack of a 5. The right-hand unit of the archers are going to fire at the left-hand unit of Devon's forces, looking for 5s. 2 hits with 1 disorder. Reroll for marksman. 2 hits. Looking for 5s to save. They save 1 of those, but they take a disorder as well. Yorkist forces have conducted their shooting. Pretty effective, whilst not many casualties have been caused. They have disordered the front 3 units of archers, which will slow down the Lancastrian advance and also impede their shooting on the next turn. There's no assaults or close combat, so we'll move over to Lancastrian turn 2. So quite minimal movement from the Lancastrian forces. Oxford has pushed his left wing forward and orientated them to make the most of anchoring his flank with the trees. However, due to the disorder of the bowmen, they haven't manoeuvred because they can't, and Somerset has kept his forces behind to provide any support as required if need be. However, with Oxford moving round the flank, it will take some of the pressure off Devon's forces in the centre. So, moving on to shooting. We'll start with Somerset's forces. Whilst they are disordered, they take a -1 to shoot. They're over at 12 inches, so that's extreme range, so they are on 6s to hit their respective targets. Their closest one is the one that is directly in front of them. They'll be requiring 6s. In order to disorder, they require 2 6s to put a disorder onto Warwick's bowmen because they need a base of 6. They fail all 3, but they do get 1 reroll because they are marksmen. They still fail that one as well. Moving right down the line, this unit of bowmen will return fire to Warwick's left-hand unit. Looking for 6s, that's 1 hit, but no disorder. And looking for 5s from Warwick to save. He fails that save, and the unit takes a casualty. Next unit alongside, again looking for 6s. Again, that's 1 hit with a reroll. No, so 1 take 5, fails it, taking some casualties, but not disordered. And then this unit will be firing at the right hand unit of archers. They'll be hitting on 4s because they're close, but not too close, and they're not disordered. So they're looking for 4s, 1 reroll. Don't need a reroll, but that's 3 hits. Looking for 3 saves of 5. 1 save, 2 casualties. So that unit is now halfway to its stamina level. That's all of Lancastrian shooting for turn 2. There is no close combat. So we will move on to Yorkist turn 2. But when we do that, we'll just remove the disorder markers because they come off now, waiting to go back on the next turn. So the end of Yorkist turn 2, Exeter has managed to advance forward, but not as far as he would have liked to. He would have got a little bit further just to close that distance between him and Somerset, whereas Warwick has angled right to meet the threat from Oxford. However, has kept one of its bowmen facing to the left so that he can try and keep the Earl of Devon occupied in the centre. Right, moving on to Yorkist shooting. We'll start from the left with Exeter's forces. Their closest unit is still the archers out front. They are still over 12 inches, so they're looking at 5s on the left hand one with a reroll. No, we'll need that reroll. Nope. Right hand unit, same again. 1 hit with 1 reroll. Nope. Looking for 5s on Somerset's units to save. No, he doesn't. He's now at 2. In the centre, within 12, the closest unit from the centre is this one on the right of Devon's forces, so we are looking at 4s to hit with 1 reroll. That's all of them, and a disorder placed upon the unit. Looking for 3 saves of 5. So 2 saves, 1 casualty. Right, and then finally the unit to the right is about 6 inches away, but there's no bonus for being that close. They're looking for 4s with a 1 reroll. They hit 1, still hit 1, and 1 save of 5 fails. So Oxford takes a casualty, and that is all of the shooting. They're out of 6 inches from just behind, so there's no short range shooting, and there's no close combat, so we'll be moving over to Lancastrian turn 3. So that's the end of Lancastrian movement turn 3. Because of the proximity of Somerset's archers to the archers of Warwick, they've advanced forward and pivoted to the left. Well, this also means there'll be an increasing rate of fire from 3 units of archers onto 1. His infantry attempted to move towards Exeter's archers and his men-at-arms. They advanced, but they didn't get that far, unfortunately for them, so they didn't quite pass the archers. They will take some fire, and Oxford was content to sit there to pin down Warwick's forces while Somerset manoeuvred. Moving on to shooting, we'll start with Somerset's bowmen. They're going to be on 4s due to their proximity with the 1 reroll. So that's all hit and a disorder onto Warwick's units here. And we're looking for 5 to save from Warwick's archers. That's 3 failures. Takes them up to 4. Moving on to Devon's disordered unit, we will be looking at shooting 5s because we're so we're looking at 5 because it's disordered. That would be another disorder, but that's 2 hits and get the reroll. That's a miss, and looking for 2 5s to save. Saves 1. Almost at that breaking point. 5s. The unit next to them, the second unit of Devon's archers, again looking at 4s. 1 hit with 1 reroll. 2 hits. Looking for 5s to save. Fails both of them. So that now makes Warwick's archers shaken. They are 1 above their stamina level. Because Warwick's unit has reached its stamina level, it's 1 over, it needs to take a break test as per the chart from range attacks. 2d6, add them together to see what happens. 7, hold your ground without penalty. So they are there, they lose that and go down to 6. So they're still shaken. And that is that one. And finally, Oxford's unit of archers will be firing at the right hand unit of Warwick's archers. So we're looking at 4s with a reroll, which is required because that's 3 misses. That doesn't count. And a hit from Oxford. Save of 5. Saves from Warwick. That is a long range shooting. I don't think anybody's within 6 inches to do any short range firing, so no. And that is the end of Lancastrian turn 3. So at the end of Yorkist turn 3, Caeser has expanded his forces out, trying to charge Somerset's forces but didn't quite work, unfortunately, but has managed to push his archers out to his flanks. In the centre, the unit of Warwick's bowmen has to stay there because they are disordered, but have managed to rally off 1 of their casualties. And on the right flank, the rest of his forces again tried charging the bowmen, failed to reach there, and the billmen managed to disorder themselves as they went through the archers, which have then moved onto the flank. So starting with shooting, there's a few more units to shoot because of the closeness of the units, but we'll start over here with the bowmen. They're within 6. However, they are firing at men at arms, which is a -1, so they are hitting on 5s just because they're wearing lots of plate armour, and it allows arrows to bounce off. So we're looking at 5s with 1 reroll. That's 2 6s, so a disorder and a miss. And the men at arms are on a save of 4. So they men-at-arms are on a save of 4. They are stubborn, which means they get to re-roll 1 failed morale save. So we're looking for 4s on the men-at-arms. Passes, fine, no issues. Whilst the Minotaurs are within 6 inches, they have no short range capability until they are supporting. However, the Billmen, they do, and they are within 6 inches, and they get 3 dice to do their support. They don't get that -1 modifier because they're only firing against Billmen, so guys in padded jackets rather than full plate armour. So we're looking at 4s, or actually standby, sorry. The closest target is not the Billmen, it is the Archers, is the closest target. Actually, standby. So from there to the flag is 5 inches, from there to the flag is 5.5. So yes, so the closest target summary is the Archers. Again, still looking at the same, so we're looking for 4s, no reroll, so that's 2 hits, and looking for 5s to save on the Archers, 1 save on the Archers. Exeter's longbow into their longbow counterparts of Somerset, so looking for 4s, 2 hits with 1 reroll, 3 hits, looking for 3 saves of 5 off the Archers. That is 1 save, taking 2 casualties. Warwick's bowmen, which are in front of them, are disordered. However, the closest unit is 7. Yeah, the closest unit is this unit of Somerset Archers, and today we'll be looking at 5s, 4s base, 5 because of disordered. 1 hit with 1 reroll, 1 hit, and Somerset's looking at 5 to save. No. That unit is now shaken, and we'll have to take a break test. So they'll break test now. 4, treat disordered. So they move back 6 inches if they can, directly away from the enemy, and then they become disordered at the end. So they go to there, and they will become disordered, and they take those casualties. Over on the right flank of the Yorkist forces, the men-at-arms can't fire because they've got no long range, short range capability, but the Billmen do, and they'll be firing at the Archers. They're going to be on 5s because they're disordered. All miss, and the Archers to their right will be on 4s against the Archers. 1 hit, 1 reroll, 2 hits for 5 to save, 1 save on Oxford's Archers. And that is it from a shooting perspective. There's still no close combat, and that is the end of Yorkist turn 3. So, with the Lancastrian forces, they haven't really moved very far. However, the Somerset infantry have successfully charged into the Duke of Exeter's forces, and over on the Lancastrian left, Oxford's forces have also managed to successfully charge into Warwick's forces. The Archers have kind of stayed where they are, because Somerset's Archers are disordered, and Devon's Archers have stayed there just so they've got a nice clear firing for all 3 Archers, with Oxford just moving back throughout their own infantry to provide that support. So moving on to shooting, because these guys are in combat. The Archers and same as those will be firing at these 2 units. Somerset will be firing 3 dice, looking at 5s because it's disordered. with 1 reroll, so that's 1 hit. The reroll. No. Looking for 5 to save. Saves from Warwick. Units of Devon. Yeah, their closest one will be to this unit here, so we'll do 2 of those. Do all 2 together because it doesn't really matter. Actually, so we're looking at 4s from all of them. Okay, so that's 2 hits with 2 rerolls for the 2 units. 1 hit and a disorder. Okay, so that makes a grand total of 3 hits with 3 saves of 5s, saves 1, so it takes 2 casualties and requires to take a break test. So taking a break test, 9, that is absolutely fine. Hold their ground without penalty, and then that drops down to 6. Excellent. And then finally, can you see? I will say they can't see because of this combat, so they'll be fighting through the combat, firing through the combat, so they won't be able to shoot. Moving on to combat. We will start over with the left-hand force. So, Somerset's infantry are men-at-arms, while Exeter's infantry are also men-at-arms. So in the book they're normally small units, these are the same size, but we're going to keep the same stats bar rather than a stamina. So they will be on clash of 5. So 5 hits, we'll roll these together just to make them simple. So it's a base of 4 on a standard assault. Somerset is charging, so he gets a +1. So he will be hitting on 3s, and Exeter hitting on 4s. Both these units are tough fighters, stubborn and valiant, so they get to reroll 1 misses. The red dice will be the Lancastrian, so Somerset, and the green dice will be Exeter. So we're looking for 4s or more on green and 3s or more on red. So at the moment that's 3 each. Both get a reroll. So red has 1 more than green. So therefore Exeter will be saving 4 hits. Save of 4+ with 1 reroll if he makes a fail. Okay, so he's saved 2, gets a reroll, saves 3, so he's taken 1 casualty. Somerset, he saved 3 casualties, or 3 attacks, and they'll be saving on 4s. Saves 1. With 1 reroll, fails. So he is currently taken 2 casualties. From a supporting perspective, the archers can support because they're within 6 inches. Yep. And they provide 3 attacks in close combat. So they will be firing on 4s because there's no modifiers for these, and they hit once, which means need a save from Somerset on 3s, 4, sorry, and they pass. Okay, so we'll just add casualties on. So Somerset has taken 2 casualties, and Exeter has taken 1 casualty. So they've currently, Somerset has lost that combat. Because Somerset has lost the initial combat, he needs to take a break test. So it's 2d6 -1, 7. Hold your ground. 7 is the unmodified, 6. hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. Somerset's men-at-arms will retreat in good order. And this allows Exeter to continue the fight if he wants to. At the moment he is not. He's going to hold his men where they are. Moving on to the billman fight. So both these are infantry halberds or billmen. So their clash is 7 each. None of these are special or no special rules. It's either hit or miss. The green die again will be Exeter, red die will be the Lancastrians. It will be 3s for Somerset or the Lancastrians because they are charging, and 4s for Exeter. So 4s on green are good, and blue of course because that's the extra one. Bad, and we are looking at 3s there. So both have hit 4. Just add in the 3 attacks from here because of the sporting. So looking at 4s. So 1 hit. So Somerset is saving 5 attacks on a 4+. Saves all bar 1. So he takes 1 casualty. And Exeter is saving 4 attacks on 4+. And he saves 2 of them, taking 2 casualties. Okay, so we'll just add those in. So this means Exeter has to take a break test, 2d6 minus 1, which is 11 down to 10, is hold your ground without penalty. Neither of them are shaken, so there are no excess casualties to be taken off. Moving over to Oxford's charge. Starting again with the men-at-arms on 5. 5 attacks because they're both clashing. Oxford will be on hitting on 3s. Warwick on 4s with 1 re-roll each. So that is 4 hits from Warwick, 4 hits from Oxford with 2 rerolls, or 1 each, and that's yeah. Okay, so Warwick will be saving 5 hits on a 4+, re-rolling 1 of those, so we save 3. So taking 1 casualty at least. So Warwick has taken 1 casualty. And Oxford will save 4 attacks on 4+, 1 reroll. So that's 3 hits. So he saved 1. So he has taken 3 casualties. From a supporting perspective, these can support because we're within 3. These can support because they're within 3. So we'll do 2 attacks, 4 each. 1 with the requirement to save 1. Saves. And 3 of them, so looking at 4s. 1 and Warwick needs to save 1 of 4. Does. So supports have added nothing to the game. However, they have Warwick has successfully beaten Oxford by 2. Therefore, Oxford needs to take a break test of 5. 5 minus 2 brings it down to 3. So 3 would break if shaken, otherwise retreat disordered. However, the men-at-arms are valiant, which means they can re-roll a break test. And they re-roll it to a 10, which gives them 9, which is hold your ground without penalty. So that valiant rule is coming useful for Oxford. Over on to the right hand side of that fight, we're back to billmen. So we are 7 dice each. 7 dice. And so we're looking at 3s from Oxford, 5s from Warwick due to being disordered. No rerolls. So for 3s, that's a good one, that's a good one, that's a good one. And 5s from Warwick. Okay, so that is... Oh, and that one's a good one. No rerolls available. So Warwick will be saving 5 hits on 4+. He saves 3 of them, so takes 2 casualties. Oxford will be taking 3 casualties, or at least saving 3 casualties on 4+. He saves 1 of them, so also takes 2 casualties. From a supporting perspective, Warwick's archers hit twice, therefore they require a save of 4. Takes 2 casualties, and from the archers behind, they will support for 4s, again 2 hits, 2 saves of 4. He makes both of those saves. So in this fight, the supports have turned that fight into a victory for Warwick. Oxford needs to take another break test for his billman, halberdiers, at 2d6 minus 2. That is 3. Break if shaken, otherwise retreat disorders. They don't have the valiant rule, so they have to retreat. They have only just taken 4 casualties. And they need to retreat disordered. Also, along with their supports, so we'll just move Oxford's man out of the way. Okay, we'll do these at that first, sorry. Make some space. And there we go. So they have now retreated disorder. You can move over there. Sorry, you're up there. Because Warwick's billmen are disordered, they can't make an advance to the fight, but they're very happy to stay where they are at the moment. And that is the end of Lancastrian turn 4, close combat. Moving over to Yorkist turn 4. So from a Yorkist perspective, they are not going to move this turn, because whilst they're continuing the fight with the engaged forces from Somerset and Oxford, they're in a very strong position. They don't want to overextend themselves. What they will do is Warwick will do a rally and has successfully rallied off one of his casualties, bring it down to 5. But other than that, everyone is going to stay in position. They're either in a very good position to provide support to the close combat, or to put increasing pressure on both Somerset and Oxford's forces. So on that note, we will move over to shooting, and we'll start with Exeter's archers on the left flank. They will fire into the man-at-arms, so they are looking at 5s to hit because they're firing at plate armour. So that's 2 hits with a reroll, 2 hits, and one of those is a disorder, which is very good for Somerset. For Exeter, and Somerset needs to take a reroll, or a save. So he's saved 1, failed 1, but he does get a reroll. He fails that, so it takes another casualty from archer fire. Moving to the right, this unit of bowmen will continue to fire. We'll continue firing to Somerset archers. They are just under 12 inches, and so they are firing on 4s with 1 reroll, which they will need. Hopefully, they can try and go because they are shaken. No, they cause no damage to the shaken units. That's a bit disappointing from Exeter's perspective because he could have forced the bowmen to continue their backwards trajectory. And over on the right-hand unit, it will be this unit here, which will receive the fire, and again they will be on 5s because they've been disordered. So that's 2 hits, 1 disorder, 3 hits, and has caused a disorder, and Devon will be saving on 5s. Saves 2, takes 1 casualty. Over on the right flank, the billmen are too close to the combat to fire anything from a short range perspective, but that's not an issue at the moment. However, the longbowmen certainly can do, and they will be firing at this unit of billmen which has retreated. So they also need a disorder token because they retreated with disorder along with their support, didn't they? So they will be firing, and we're looking at 4s, 1 reroll. They'll take the disorder anyway if they didn't have in the first place. So 2 hits, saving on 5s, saves 1, loses 1 casualty. That takes them up to 5. So that's all of the shooting done. So moving over to combat, Somerset won the last round of combat, so they will be on a +1. This is a sustained result, so they're still on 7s. So they will be looking at 3s to hit, and Exeter he'll be on 4s because he's not shaken or disordered. We'll do supports later. So we're looking for 3s on red, 4s on green and blue. That's a very good hit from Somerset. That's actually a very good hit from everybody. So we're looking at currently 6 hits caused by Somerset, 3 by Exeter. Exeter, from a supporting perspective, both they and they can support because we're in 6 inches. They're looking at 4s. And it is only 2 from the men at arms. So we're looking at 4s. So that's 3 extra hits from Exeter and his supports, and these are still within range, so they get 2 attacks back at 4, and they hit once. Exeter is saving 7 attacks at 4+. So he saves 4 of those and takes 3 casualties. Somerset is saving on 6 attacks at 4+. None of these have got rerolls. So he saves that one, and has taken 2 casualties. Okay, so we'll just add those in now. 3, so that's 5, and that one is up to 3. So, out of all that, Exeter has lost with Somerset's billman prevailing. So they need to take a break test. 7 minus 1. Hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. That would also bring your supports back with them. They will retreat in good order. And Somerset is going to decide not to follow up that attack because that will probably be quite suicidal. Moving over to the right flank, the men-at-arms of Warwick won last time. They get 5 attacks because of their clash. Oxford gets 5 attacks back. We're just looking at 3s on the green dice, 4s on the red, and that's because Warwick won his last go, so he gets a +1. They both get a reroll. Okay, so Oxford has hit 5 times, Warwick on 2 or twice. From a support perspective, Warwick is supported by the billman to his right and the archers to his left or rear. The archers will be on the blue dice because they're disordered, so they're hitting on 5s, so the billman hitting on 4s. So that's 2 hits by both of them. And then to the rear, you have both the bowman to Oxford rear right and Oxford's own billman to his rear left. Because the billmen are disordered, they'll be hitting on 5s and the archers on 4. So we're looking for 5s on the red dice, 4s on the others. That's very good from Oxford. So that is that many hits, which is pretty decent. So Warwick will be saving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits. 9. So saving 9 hits, but on a 4+, but can reroll one of them. Okay, so we saved 2. That's not going to bode very well. And gets to reroll 1. Okay, he saves that one. And Oxford saving 4 hits on 4s, rerolling 1. So that's saved 2. So he's taking 2 hits. Alright, okay, so that's 6 hits to 2. So they take 5 casualties to take to their stamina level, and they get to add 1 casualty to another unit, although it's throwing out support. So 2d6 minus 4, that is 7, goes down to 4 with the disorder, and that's retreat disordered. However, they have the ability to use their valiant rule, which they will use, which is not very good, and that basically means they break. So that unit is now broken. So the men-at-arms is broken, and they'll need to test for support. So on the right-hand side, the billmen, it's a straight roll. 10, they stay where they are. And on the left-hand side, the archers, they get 9. They also stay where they are. So first blood goes to Oxford. He will not elect to he will not elect to do anything Well, actually, what he will do, sorry, he's just going to reposition his unit, and he's just going to move backwards slightly to there, to bring the unit back more in line rather than continue to charge forward in a successful unit. And that is the end of Yorkist turn 4. That's the end of Lancastrian movement on the left flank of the Lancastrians with Somerset. The Billmen have withdrawn to re-establish the line, and Somerset himself has joined the archers to rally off a casualty. They ignored him for the first 2 times, and then we had to get Oxford to shout at them, and they managed to pull themselves together, and they lost a casualty. The archers in the centre haven't done a lot due to one of their units being disordered, but they've kind of stayed as they are. And then over on the right, Oxford has moved his forces to, first of all, using the men-at-arms to charge the billmen. He also tried to use his own billmen to charge the archers, but they only got so far and they didn't quite manage it. However, they're close enough to still provide that support to the men-at-arms as required. So, moving over on to shooting. Starting off with Somerset. The archers are behind the men-at-arms, so have no clear target. These chaps, they were sorted in the last round of shooting, so they will fire back. So that's 3, looking at 5s because of the disorder. Get to reroll 1, so that's 1 hit. Get to reroll 1. No. And Warwick's forces will be saving on a 5. And they don't. They take that casualty. Back to being shaken. Over on the left flank, again, the archers are obstructed by these, although stand by side, I'll do those first. They're hitting these archers on 4. 1 is a disorder. 2 hits with a chance of rerolling 1. 2 hits, and then saving on 5s, saved both of those. Over here, these archers are blocked by their fellow units. However, the billmen do have the ability to throw spears or hurl insults at the archers, so they're attacking on 4s, and they miss all of those. Moving over to combat, there's only one combat going on, and that is this combat over here between the Oxford men-at-arms and the Warwick billmen. So the men-at-arms are at 5 for their clash, the billmen are at 7. Neither of them are shaken yet, so we're looking at 3s for Oric, so the red dice on 3s, 4s on the blue dice and the green dice. Right, so 4s on these, 3s on reds, that's 4 hits by red, that's a fail, and then 4s on greens, that's 4, but 1 chance of reroll for red. Hits. Supporting perspective, we have the archers to the right flank of Warwick and also to the left flank. So we'll be hitting the archers to the right flank will be hitting on 4s, that's the blue dice. The green and black dice will be hitting on 5s due to being disordered. So both of those are successful, and that is also successful. These are failures. And then from a supporting perspective, by Oxford, he will be on 4s all around, no rerolls. And that's very good. That is 10 hits. Okay, so Oxford is saving on 4s. 1, 2, 4, 6, 7. So he's going to be saving 7 hits on 4s with 1 reroll. Looking for 4s. Hit, save, and save. So that's 4 saves, 1 reroll. Yep. So he's taken 2 casualties. Warwick is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 9 and 10. Looking for 4s, no rerolls. That's pretty decent actually. So he's taken 3 casualties to to Oxford's 2. So Warwick has lost that combat by 1. So I'll just change these. However, both of them are now at a shaken perspective, with Oxford having to push one of his casualties onto his supports, which I'll give to the bowman at the back. So Warwick now is to make a break test. -1. That's 10, 9, -1, which is hold your ground without penalty. And that is the end of turn 5 for Lancastrians. So that was Yorkish movement, not very successful. The forces on the left-hand side struggled to get going, requiring some support from both themselves, from the reroll. Managed to do it, but still failed a couple of times. So it's kind of staggered assault. On the right hand side, the archers decided not to engage in combat with the billmen. It's probably easier for them just to shoot where they are, and in the centre they are still disordered from the fighting or from the firing earlier, so it's a bit of a ragged line on a Yorkish side of it. So moving over to the shooting, these archers have still got a nice clear line of sight, so they are firing 3 attacks. Or shooting 3 attacks, looking for 5s because of the heavy armour. That's 1 hit, and they get to reroll 1 of them because of marksman. That's 2 hits and a disorder. And then looking at 4s to save. So that's saved 1, and we get a reroll because Their ability, no, they take 2 casualties. So the men-at-arms are starting to be whittled away through archer fire. Only at 5. These men-at-arms have no close range capability. They are just within 6 inches, so I'll have the ability to fire 3. So looking at 4s, 1 hit, and one of those is the disorder, which is probably the useful one we want. And then 1 save by Somerset on a 4, which is a save. This unit of archers just here can see, and they can see this unit there relatively clearly. However, they'll be firing at 5s due to being at extreme range. But they do get the reroll. So that's no hit, but they do get 1 more chance. No. So no firing. In the centre, they will be firing at their closest target, which is the one that's just been fired upon. 5s, nothing, reroll, nothing. And over on the far hand right corner with Warwick's bowman firing into the billman, looking at 4s, 1 hit, which is a 6, which is good, and the reroll fails. So Oxford's forces need to save on a 4, which they do, but they take a disorder token. So that's it from shooting perspective. The only close combat is over here between the successful men-at-arms and the not quite so successful billmen. However, the billmen, their sustained value is 7. The men-at-arms is 5. But they're both now shaken. So the billmen will be hitting on 5s. The men-at-arms are going to be hitting on 4s, because they would be at 5s, but because they won the last round combat, they get a +1. So red dice looking for 4s, green dice looking for 5s. Okay. Good. Okay, so red get to reroll 1 to fight at next. So that's currently 2 hits each. From a supporting perspective, from a Warwick, they have support to their left and to their right. Because they're disordered on their left hand side, they will be hitting on 5. So looking for 4s on green dice, 5s on blue. None of those. And then on the Oxford side, the billmen have now been disordered, so they will be attacking on 5, they'll be on the green die, and the archers behind them are on 4s. Okay, so green die on 5s, that's 1 hit, and the rest on 4s. Good. So, we're looking at... So, Oxford is saving 3 attacks at 4s. Saves 2, reroll, saves 2, so takes 1 casualty. Warwick is saving on 4s, no reroll, and takes 3 casualties. So, Warwick has lost that combat, so I'll just add those casualties on now. Okay, so they need to take a break test. 2d6 minus 2, because that's the difference in the attack. 5 down to 3. Break if shaken, otherwise retreat disordered. So they are shaken, so they have completely and utterly broken. Their support. Need to do a break test. So we'll go for infantry on the right, the archers on the right. 4, retreat disordered. And with Warwick in the centre, 5, hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. They will retreat in good disorder, but they will basically still retain their. They're basically going to retreat and get back here, and then back to there. Because they will lose out on the next turn because they retreat in good order. That's fine. And then from an Oxford perspective, he can't actually do anything because he's shaken, so in essence he will stay where he is. And that is the end of turn 5 Yorkist. So from a movement perspective, from the Lancastrian for turn 6, in essence, Oxford has just swapped his forces around with the men-at-arms, retreating back into the battle line and pushing his archers forward, who haven't actually taken that many casualties this turn. And over on Somerset side, most of his forces are disordered. And he will, or he has taken a casualty off the archers to keep them a little bit more sustained in the game. So, moving over to shooting. These were able to be shot at last time, so they will be able to fire back. So, we're looking at 3 shots, but looking at 5s because they are disordered. 1 hit, saving on a 4, saves on the 4. Moving over to the archers, the closest unit is those over there, and these will probably be 50. Yeah, it's gonna be those. So those are going to fire at those. Those are going to fire at those. So looking at as we see it, the left-hand archers firing at these going to be on 5 because of the distance. 1 hit, saving on a 5, doesn't save, that's over there, so we're looking at, these are taking them. Oh no, correction, sorry, wrong ones. Saving on a 4, so they still take that casualty, sorry. Archers over on the far side, again they'll be on a 5 because of distance, disordered, 1 hit, rerolling 1, 2 hits. So 2 hits in disorder, saving on 5, that's 1 save and a casualty. So you now need to take a break test. Six. Hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. They're already disordered, they might as well hold their ground disordered. And that, and then the final set of shooting will be these archers. They're going to fire over there. Doesn't really matter because they can only do, on break test. They passed that one already. And so we're looking at 4s. Disordered with 2 hits, 3 hits, looking for 5s, take 1 casualty, but they've already taken that, so that goes back down to 6. So we've done their break test. And that is shooting. There is no close combat. So we'll move over to Yorkist turn 6. So at the end of Yorkie's turn 6 movement, not a lot of movement has happened, some rallying, but over here we have seen the Exeter Men-at-Arms charge in, and their bowmen have also charged in on the flank. The unit of Somerset Men-at-Arms is a bit wibbly wobbly, so we'll see how that happens. What happens there. But before we get to that, we'll do a quick round of shooting. So we'll start with these chaps. They're swording at 6 inches, so they get 251. They're back on 4s because they've rallied off from being shaken. So that's 1 hit on a building. So looking at 4s. No, they don't save. That takes 4. The archers manage to move up, and they will fire into the billman. So we're looking at 4s again. So that's 1 disorder and a reroll. So that's 3 hits and a disorder. And then we're looking at 3 saves at 4. They save 1. Sorry, they save 2. They take 1 casualty. Slowly building up. These chaps, they're going to fire. Actually, I think their closest target is now them. They're within 11. Yeah. So they're going to be firing. They're going to be on 5s for being disordered. So that's 1 disorder, 2 hits to do a reroll. So Oxford is saving 2, looking at 5s. Fails both of those. And then over here, final unit of bowmen. They're going to fire into the billman because that is the closest target. Looking at 4s with 1 reroll. That's a disorder. 2 hits at the moment. 1 reroll. Nope. So 2 saves on the billman, looking for 4s, saves at both of those. And so we're now looking at the combat. There's the only one that's left. Over here in the corner. So, because the men-at-arms have charged, and the bowmen have charged, that's 5 each for charging. The men-at-arms get 5, but because they're hitting both the front and the flank, they have to distribute their attacks up to half on their flank, with the rest going wherever they want to. To their front, or they could just put everything onto the front. So, in this case, they are going to have 2 attacks hit. Actually, no, they're going to do everything. So, the Somerset Men-at-Arms are going to fire everything facing forward, with Exeter's conducting their attacks. So, it will be a base of 4 for all the attackers. Exeter's forces are going to be on 3s for charging, whereas Somerset's forces are going to be on 5s for being hit in the flank or rear. Look for Somerset, he's at 5, so he's not shaking yet. So on the red dice, looking for 5s with 1 reroll. On the green dice, looking for 3s with 1 reroll. The blue dice, 3s, no reroll. So look for 5s. So yeah, 5s for the for red. So that's 2 hits. Look for 3s on green. No reroll. And then it was 3s on blue. 1 reroll, but they don't need that one. And so 1 reroll for them. Yes. Alright, so Exeter has to save 2 attacks because they're all into the front. Looking for 4s, so 1 reroll. So he saves both of those. Somerset is saving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 attacks. Looking for 4s, 1 reroll. 4s, okay. 1 reroll. No, so he's taken 4 casualties and saves 3 of them. From a supporting perspective, Billman can support, so that is 3 attacks at 4, 1 hit, 1 save at 4. No. Over here, they can support, but they're disordered, so they are looking at 3 attacks at 5, 1 hit, and 1 save at 4. Oops, 1 save at 4. Saves them. Okay, so that means it is a grand total of 5-0. So they have now become disordered. Basically, they've become shaken. 5-0. We will do our morale test. 8 minus 5 brings it down to 3. Break if shaken, otherwise retreat disordered. And I think they've used their Valiant rule before, so they will break because they are now shaken. The Billmen need to do a break test. 10. That is stay where they are. Okay, because the Exeter's units are victorious, they can conduct a sweeping charge, and they also charge an Exeter last turn. So they will do a sweep, and they will go turn round and sweep into that with these following on up behind. So we now go to another round of combat with the Knights charging forward. They are on a clash of 5. It would normally be 7 for the Billmen, however, because they're hitting the flank, they can only put to half of their their attacks on their flank, which would be 3. So normally rounds down, we'll round down in this case. From an attacking perspective, it will be 3s for the Exeter forces because they are charging on the base of 4, which brings it down to 3. For the Somerset Billmen, they are on 6s, -1 because they're disordered, -1 again because they're hitting the flank. So we're looking at 6s on red, 3s on green, 1 reroll on green. So no hits on red, not surprising. 1 reroll on green, that's 4 hits. From a support perspective, the units get to provide support, so we're looking at 4s. That's 2 hits. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 casualties or 6 hits. So saving on 4s. They have taken 4 casualties. They also need to do support, sorry. That's 3 hits. 3 saves of 4. Get to reroll 1. Here they take 3 casualties. So, the Billmen have lost by 1, 4 casualties to 3. So they take a rape test, which is 9 -1 brings it down to 8, which is hold your ground without penalty. And that is the end of the fighting. Well, end of the fighting of turn 6. We'll do one dice roll to see whether the fight continues to turn 7. On a 4, 5 or 6 it continues, on a 1, 2, 3 it ends. 4, 5, 6 it continues. Okay. So that's the end of Lancastrian turn 7 movement. In essence, the Somerset unit has turned to face its attackers. The archers have advanced forward to provide a little bit of protection to the flank. In the centre, the archers have also moved forward to take advantage of the weakened unit of archers. That has been taken for now. And then the Oxford forces didn't do anything because both of them were disordered and the rallying of the men-at-arms failed. So we will go to shooting. So over on the right flank, the closest unit is it's at equidistance really between both of them. We'll say the closest unit looking by who the centre is probably this unit. So that'll be 3 shots at 4, 1 reroll, which is kind of needed, disordered, which is not too bad. So reroll, so disordered with that one, and then 1 save at 5, fails. Let's take its first casualty of the game. They can't do anything. These chaps, they will be firing into this unit, so looking at 4s. 1 reroll, 3 hits, looking at 3 saves, 1 save, so they take 2 casualties. That unit over there, their closest unit is still this unit with Wargaming, so we're looking at 4s, disorder again. I don't think that unit's moved all game. With 1 reroll, missed. No. So they take 1 save, 5. No, they take that extra casualty. Right. Oxford's archers are at what's that? Call that 11. No, so into this unit, potentially may cause it to maybe break test if they do some casualties. Looking at 4s, so that's 2 hits, 1 reroll. Okay, that's 3 hits, and then 3 saves of 5. Okay, they save 1 and they take 2 extra casualties. So they require to take a break test. So we're looking at 2d6. Looking at 6. Hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. So they will hold their ground disordered because they're already being disordered. And that is it from a shooting perspective for the Lancastrians for the final time. Moving on to a combat perspective, there is only 1 combat, and that is this combat over here between the billmen and the men-at-arms. So it's now in the sustained fight. So 5 dice for the men-at-arms, 7 dice for billmen. The billmen are disordered and shaken, so they'll be attacking on 5s. The men-at-arms were the last time, so they will be attacking on 3s. So that's 2 hits for the men-at-arms, but they do get 1 reroll. And 1 attack for the billmen. 1 reroll for the men-at-arms. No. Okay. From a sporting perspective, the archers will be attacking on 4s. That's all 3 hits. The billmen to their flank, also attacking on 4s. That's 1 hit. To their rear, We have the archers, they'll be attacking on 4s, and that's 1 hit. So, Somerset is saving 6 attacks on 4s, no rerolls. He saves 3 of them and takes 3 casualties. Exeter is saving 2 attacks, saves 1 of them, he gets 1 reroll, saves both of them. So Somerset has lost by 3. He will have to put those casualties on. 2, 6, 7, and basically 1 gets lost because you can't go over. So it's 2d6 minus 3 for the billman. So 1 they have completely and utterly broken. That has gone. That also goes. And before we do anything, we will do a break test for the support. 10, they are absolutely fine. However, the men-at-arms will conduct their sweeping move and move into the flank of these chaps and do another round of fighting. So to clash. So 5 for the men-at-arms. I think it's 5 for the longbowmen, yes, but they can end up to half on their flank. So that's 2. So we're looking at 3s for the attacking Exeter. That's all hits. And we're looking at 6s because they're hitting the flank and shaken for the archers. Absolutely nothing. Supports have fired in the last one, so we'll go for 5 saves of 5. That's 3 6s. Sorry, so they've taken 2 casualties, which means they need to take a break test at -2. Brings it down to 5. Hold your ground disordered or retreat in good order. They will retreat in good order. So in essence they will go there, retreat in good order, and Somerset will follow them. These will continue the charge and continue that close fight with them next turn. And that is the end of Lancastrian turn 7. That's the end of the Yorkist movement. In essence, it's their left flank has just turned round, using some initiative moves to close upon the remnants of the Somerset forces and those of the Earl of Devon. Their right flank has basically not done anything other than rally off a casualty from the bowman that Warwick is attached to. So we'll move on to shooting. From a shooting perspective, they can fire into the rear of those. There is effectively some space there, so that will be looking at 4s. So disorder, 1 reroll. So 2 saves of 5, 1 saved and a disorder. Billmen, they get to attack 3 times, so they'll be attacking on 4s. Nothing. The bowmen will be into their chaps, but they are disordered, so hitting on 5s with 1 reroll. No. The bowmen over here will be firing at them. So the closest target. So again, 5s to the disorder, nothing, but they get the 1 reroll. nothing. It's just a desultory round of shooting. And then finally, these will be firing at those. So I'm looking at 4s with a 1 reroll. 1 hit, looking at 4. Nope. And then let's save on 4s saves. So that was quite a bit of an ineffective round of firing. Going on to the final combat of the game, we have the men-at-arms firing into the Somerset, charging into the Somersetian archers. So this is a sustained fight because they just followed up. So it's 5 and 5, but it's to the front these days. So we are looking at 3s for the Earl of Exeter, 5s for the Somersetian. So 5s on red, 3s on green. So that's 3 hits, 1 reroll for green, 4 hits, and we're looking at 5s for the Somersetians. From a supporting perspective, these supporting to the rear, they're supporting up there, so that's in essence 6 attacks, looking at 4. That's 4 more. From a Somerset perspective, they can be supported by those chaps over to there, and they'll be hitting on 5s because they are disordered. And that's 1 hit. Okay, so from a saving throw perspective, it is 8 saves need to be made by the archers. Looking at 5s, that's pretty decent. They have saved 4 of those, and they've taken 4 casualties. So they've taken 4 casualties, and then the men-at-arms need to take 2 saves at 4+. Saved 1, and they get to re-roll that fail, and they've taken 1 casualty. Okay, so this means the Somerset need to take a break test at -3 for being 3 of the casualties. Takes him down to 3, which I believe is break if shaken, otherwise retreat disordered. They are shaken, so they will be destroyed. And that is the entirety of Somerset's division has broken or has been destroyed. The archers need to take a break test. 8, I think it's stay where they are. We'll just double check, not that makes too much of a difference at that height. Hold your ground without penalty, correct. And that is it from a Yorkist turn 7. So that's the end of the game. It is 3 units to 2 in terms of destroyed, with the Lancastrians losing 3 units, i.e. the entirety of Somerset's division, and the Yorkists losing 2 units, which are the 2 men-at-arms, men-at-arms and billmen from Warwick's division. In terms of who has won, I will say that the Yorkists have won, and then even looking at the way they are on the battlefield, because these guys are now swinging round the flank, they would effectively hit these bowmen in the flank and start rolling up that flank. Also, if you think about where the Yorkists are meant to be going, they're going from this road here on the way to London over there, and as they're now pushing the Lancastrians round to their right, they're effectively opening up that that road to London, and so will have achieved their objectives, as if the Lancastrians do decide to retreat, they'll be heading down towards the south, down towards Oxford, and that journey down towards Cheltenham, etc., as required. So I'd say the Yorkists have won this battle. It was close fought. I thought Somerset was going to win at one point when he pushed the entirety of Exeter's forces back. However, they just didn't have the staying power. Similar with Oxford's forces, they did really well, and they managed to keep intact, but some effective firing from the Yorkist bowman managed to basically pin his forces in place through all of those disorders. So that was my game of the War of Roses using Hal Caesar 2. This has been the Fighting Sailor. Please like, subscribe and comment for more content, and I will see you in the next one.